And now for part 5, we are going to move on to the night. Call this the night. And I don't think any of these are really quite the right look, but I don't think it really matters. We can just start with the bishop. Move that into the knight. Hide the bishop view. Move our reference view over. Get rid of our Boolean and scale it. So go to tab view. We're going to delete everything from here to here. Just like that. Extrude up, scale it. Now we've got to build this whole entire thing. Now this is where this is going to get a little complicated. So to model the top of this, we're going to do a different technique. We're going to do some mirror modeling. So we're going to add a mesh. We're going to add a cube. And we're going to start from this little piece right here. Scale this up to, I don't know, right about there. Hit tab. Now we're going to create a loop cut right there in the middle. Now I want you to select all the sides on one side of this. Make sure you get this one down here. All the sides on one side. You can also use the B, select everything, and delete them, just like that. Then we're going to add a modifier, mirror, and make sure that clipping is enabled. This is going to be on the y-axis. So any modification we make to one side is going to be made to the other. And this lets us model just one half of this object. And those mirrors, those modifications will then go over to the other side. All right, let's scale this up to about right there. Select the bottom, and we're going to extrude it out a little bit and scale a little bit, like so. Let's add a subdivision also, like so. Make sure the subdivision is after the mirror. These are in order of operation for a reason. There we go. Extrude this here, scale it like so. Let's make sure we enable that. See, this one's going to be the trickiest for a lot of people. This is probably where I'm going to lose a lot of people, because this one just gets a little bit trickier. It's just a little bit tougher to kind of get these pieces just right. And a lot of this is going to be your artistic intention, your artistic interpretation. You kind of do whatever you want to do with this. Like so. Let's get that fat belly on that thing going. There we go. Extrude this out. Like so. All right. So hopefully I've not lost people too much with this. This is, as I say, this part gets complicated. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But I'm just hitting extrude to kind of get the basic shapes and scaling, manipulating stuff. I'm going to go back and do a lot of like fine tuning on this. Maybe I'll do it in some kind of like speed montage. I don't know. All right, there we go. That gives us our basic shape, at least our silhouette. Let's squish the top of this a little bit. Out that. Move it inward. Rotate it. Let's move it out a little bit. So the cheeks are a little bit more indented. There. Very basic piece. Let's save it. All right, let's do a little bit of cleanup here and organizing to make this a little bit easier. First thing, let's make one little tweak to the reference image. If you go over here onto the right, this little go down to the little like landscape image on much. almost. Let's enable transparency and put that at about 50%. That way it's a little bit easier to kind of see what's going on there. You can even have it always appear in the front, like so. Might be helpful for modeling. That gives you a few other options. And we will save that. Next thing we want to do here is we want to take the this here, we'll label this the night base. This up here, we're going to name the night body. And first thing I want to do is make a duplicate of this night body. Press Control D, click again. You'll see a duplicate appear right here. We're just going to label this as backup, like so, and then click this here to hide it. I do that in case I make any mistakes modeling this. I can just go return to the night body and keep moving on forward from there. Okay, let's start modeling some details into this. I'm just going to model directly onto the object. You can also go into sculpting, but that might be a topic for a later video. Let's make the base of this match up with the top of this a little bit better. We'll select this here, maybe move it out, kind of fatten it up just a little bit. There, that'll look a little bit better. We'll add a little bit of a bevel to this. Click here, extrude. There, I think I like that a little bit more. I'm going to click this little side here, kind of move it in. I'm kind of comfortable with that. And all right, let's do this a little bottom of the mouth here first. If you go to front view and hit Z, you can see right through it right here. And we're going to add some more loops with using our loop cut tool, just like that. Then we'll go to the vertex select. Make sure that you have select box on there. And kind of align this a little bit with this piece right here. Just like so. And as I say, you got to kind of get a feel for this and kind of make it look as close as you want it to be, or do it however you want. And we'll select those sides, just like so. Maybe move them in a little bit. I think I want a little bit more of an edge there, so I'm actually going to use the loop cut tool. Cut a loop, drag it up there. Do the same here. There we go. We'll crease this a little bit, and we'll move that in, just like that. There we go. That looks much better. It's the part of video where I sit quietly and model and listen to road noise. There we go. There, we have kind of the base there put in there. Let's maybe sharpen this a little bit with a crease. There we go. Just like that. Notice this is kind of sharp edge right here, so let's just duplicate that sharp edge up here also. There we go. Crease it. Maybe reduce it to about there. Let's add another loop right there in the middle. That way we can then move it out like so. This is doing organic modeling, but without using sculpting. It's a little tricky, but you know, it's not really that complicated. It just takes a little work. Kind of getting a feel for it, getting it to the way you kind of want it to look. It's like playing with some clay, sculpting it until it gets that look that it just clicks for you, the way you want it to look. There we go. I think that looks all right. For now, we'll maybe tweak it a little bit more. I think I maybe want a little edge right here. So, add another loop cut, or we can use a knife and just cut it like so. Press enter. And we'll select those edges, crease them. There we go. Add a crease to that front. Move it in just a little. There we go. A little bit of a horse head, a little bit of an edge right here. A little bit of a bump there. Let's go ahead and add that. I kind of like that little bit of a detail. So we'll create a loop cut here. Scale it just a little bit. Just like so. Make sure to save. Save quite often. It's very important. I don't know how many times I've not saved and lost data, so now I save constantly. I'll even make multiple copies of a file, so in case I need to revert to an earlier version, I have those available. All right, there we go. That looks good. Let's add the ear. And let's add the ear with a Boolean. It's a little bit easier that way. Go to Add Mesh Cube. It kind of appears down there, so let's move it up to the top right here. So let's just align it over here. Scale it. Scale it. You could model this directly into the model, but I don't know, sometimes it's just easier to do it this way. Moving kind of quickly. A lot of drag and drop and such. The way to kind of think about these kind of 3D modeling is you have to kind of start wrapping your brain around how this stuff works, and you can start working a lot quicker. As I say, I kind of apologize for moving a lot quicker with this piece, but I think it's one of the more complicated ones. A lot of it just kind of takes a little bit of effort to kind of get to that point where you're comfortable moving very quickly and modeling very quickly. But it's probably the most artistic, your personal interpretation of this piece is probably more important. It might be over-engineering this, I don't know. I'm gonna get rid of this middle. I'm gonna get rid of this piece here in the back. I did. So I'm just gonna select those, hit F to flatten it out. There we go. That's fine. All right, so press Control A, and we're going to apply all transforms. And what this is doing is it's going to move the middle point to there, which lets me then go to modifiers down here, add modifier, and mirror it along the y-axis. So look, there's one on both sides now. Let's go back to tab, extrude, scale this in here, move it to about there, and extrude it in just a little bit and scale it, just like so. We'll probably have to make some more modifications after this. So then go to add modifier, subdivision to kind of smooth it out. Get it nice and smooth. There we are. I think I want to sharpen the outer loop here a little bit, so we're just going to select it, crease it a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit of a sharpness. Maybe add a little sharpness to the inside also. If you have an FDM printer, you probably won't even notice this when you actually print it out. There we are. There's some cute little ears. So we'll create the eyes now. Go to Add Mesh. Let's just make it simple. Let's add a little UV sphere. Let's make this 8 by 8. Doesn't have to be very big. It's down there. Move it up. Move it over. Scale it up. Right about there. Then I'll rotate it. There we are. Do the same thing, apply all transforms, add a modifier, mirror it along the y-axis, and there you go. You'll notice the nose is actually a little indentation, but it's also a sphere. Let's just do that with modeling also. We'll duplicate the eyes, then move them forward along the x-axis here, move them down, and then just scale it in to where it's going to cut out, like so. Now let's apply these modifiers. We'll call this the ears. Let's actually label it nicely. Night ears. Night eyes. Night nose cut. And we will then go to our body here, add modifier, go to Boolean, ears, hit union, like so, and then we'll hide the ears. And there they are. Now they're a part of the object. Do the same thing for the eyes. Boolean, eyes, union, unselect the eyes. Then for the nose, it's going to be the same thing. Boolean, nose. It's a cut, so we are going to do a difference, which means just the default. And there it is. Now, if you want to smooth these out a little bit, you can then just go into and select the eyes here. Add a modifier of a subdivision. I would just do one level. You don't need to go too crazy. Do the nose also. Let's add a Boolean. One level is fine. Just like that. And there we are. It's a nice sharp little piece. There's a little bit of a ridge there, but don't worry about it. We'll add a little more shape to the nose. Add a loop right here. The good thing about Booleans is they're not destructive, so we can kind of go through and edit stuff and just shift the parts around afterwards, and they'll still look like what we want it to look like. There we go. Hey, look, the circle's still in a decent spot. Let's move it forward just a bit for the nose. I'm going to add this little fin here just because I can. And could probably just do it on the model, but let's just add another one. I think that's a part of a main or something like that. So let's add a cube, move it up to the top here, scale it up, like so. This is where I'm going to get a little bit more creative. I'm going to make it look a little bit more like a mohawk, so it looks a little bit different, so I'm not totally just copying the design on this image here. There we go. I think I want to sharpen the top just a little bit. But I'm going to fully sharpen the bottom, so let's select the entire bottom row here. All those edges, crease it up to 100. That way it's nice and sharp. And I'm going to add a little bit of a crease to the top as well, but not a lot. I just want to have a little bit more sharpness. I'll call this the night main. Fin. I'll call it the night fin because it's kind of more of a top fin. Add another Boolean. Fin. Union. Just like that. Then hide it. So now we have a pretty good approximation of the piece here, and if you want, you can go a little bit deeper and model up the hair on the back here, but that's a lot of complexity for something like this. So I'm actually just going to skip that part. Yes, I'm cheating a little bit. I'm just going to keep it to be kind of sharp edges and simple. It's recognizable. I think we're in a good place here. Now, if you want to be a little bit more strict, you could probably model or you change the face a little bit so that it doesn't need to be modeled with support material, but you know, a little support material here will be just fine. All right, now we're going to add the knight body to the knight base. We'll just add them together. So let's click on our knight base, hit add modifier, go down to Boolean, knight body, like so, and hit union, and then we're going to hide the knight body up here. So now we have one big, huge, solid piece. If you kind of zoom in here, make sure there's no overlapping stuff. Nice and crisp. And there we have it. There's our knight. Now let's just finish exporting all the models as we only did the one. So let's select our knight, go to File, Export, STL, knight. Make sure that's selection only. Export. Bishop, File, Export. Probably get an idea here what we're doing. Queen. The king. Now, you'll notice this top piece, since we're printing it separately, we're going to duplicate this, move it up. We're going to call this the King's Cross, flat for print. We're going to take it, we're going to rotate it 90 degrees, like so. There we go. File, Export, STL, King, Cross. That prints separately. You can also just combine these and print them together. Both ways are just fine. Rook, File, Export, STL, Rook. There we have it. We've now exported all of the little pieces. So hopefully this video has been useful to you. If you have any questions about this process, or if there's anything you'd like to see 3D modeled, please let me know, and I will maybe make a video about it later on down the road. Thank you for watching.